Hello and welcome to this continuing first look exploring session looking at Rhodon and Iris, a text by Ralph Knevet. I'm not sure if you pronounce the K, it might just be Knevet. Knevet, I don't know. We're going halfway through the play from Act 3, Scene 2 to the end at this very floral production produced in Norwich for the Florist Feast on Tuesday, the 3rd of May. Sadly, we're not recording this on a Tuesday, therefore this whole thing is invalidated. Reading various parts, we have reading Eglantine, Anthophotus and Iris is...
Hi, I'm Desna from Lancaster.
Reading Rhodon, Violetta, Gladiolus and the Epilogue is...
Liza Graham, in London, for you.
Reading Martagon and Agnostus is...
Hi, I'm Eric. I seem to remember Liza had all our sins last week. I don't know if they're still there or coming back, like to us. I don't know.
All of them, yes.
Reading Poneria, Acanthus and Flora is...
Rachel from up north somewhere.
And reading Cynosbatus today is...
Tom from Brighton.
And joining us to read Panace is...
Hi, I'm Greg. Finally back!
And I'm your host, Robert Crighton. I'll be reading stage directions. I'm not sure there are actually that many stage directions. And keeping everything moving forward. So, we're in Act 3, Scene 2. And enter Boo Hiss. Enter Poneria. And yay, Eglantine.
Forget you not the powder for your breath.
I took a dram of it this morning, according to your appointment.
Your pallid cheek requires, in mine opinion, a deeper tincture of vermilion.
And I am of the same mind, but 'twas my maid's fault. I think she goes about utterly to undo me. She's as good a servant as e'er was, married to the whipping post.
I tell you true, I would not for 20 crowns that Rhodon had seen you with this face. That ceruse on your brow is extremely dull. There is no lustre, no resplendency in it. Slight, I have seen oftentimes a stained cloth over a smoky chimney in an alehouse present me with a better face.
Nay, I could not for my heart persuade the wicked pertinacious harlot to lay more colour on than pleased her fancy. But if I live, I will cashier the queen.
If you do not, you are no friend to yourself.
How likest thou the colour of my hair?
Oh, that is exceedingly well dyed.
Methinks the hue is not high enough.
Nay, pardon me, madam, it is passing well. The brown hue is the most incomparable colour for a hair of all other. Those golden wires that on fair heroes' shoulders dangle, and those fair flaxen threads that made Jove dote upon fair non-acrony, may not be compared with the lovely brown.
Discreet Poneria, thy wise approbation doth give my fancy ample satisfaction. But hear me, Poneria, will you undertake that I shall meet with the shepherd Rhodon, as you oft have promised me?
Fair shepherdess, I will.
But 'tis a thing impossible, I fear.
Why so, good Eglantine?
Because I hear he deeply is engaged to Iris, that proud damsel of Hymettus.
I grant he is, and since things are thus, I will so act my part, that his new love shall be the means to renew that goodwill that hath been hitherto twixt him and you.
Nor Circe's drugs, nor old Ulysses' wits, I tell thee, Beldam, can accomplish this.
Good daughter, undervalue not my skill, for 'tis contrived how it shall be effected, and to satisfy thy curiosity, I will declare how I have laid the plot.
I prithee bless my ears with this relation.
I will a message bear in Iris' name unto the shepherd Rhodon, which shall show that she desires an amorous interview with him in such a privacy that they must not be guilty of it. A solitary glade shall be the place where you, protected by the veil of conscious night, instead of Iris, shall present yourself unto the shepherd Rhodon, whom you shall entertain with sweet discourse, and so comport yourself that he shall think you are his dearest Iris. But to assure him yours, I have provided a precious philter of rare efficacy, composed according to the rudiments of art. This shall you cause him to carouse as water of inestimable worth. which done he is your own, and Iris then shall be forgotten clean, as one whom he had ne'er scarce known or seen.
'Tis bravely plotted, sweet Poneria, but what hour wilt thou allot for this design?
Provide yourself to meet him in the myrtle grove upon 11 at night.
Very good.
Now I'll to Rhodon go, and him invite to meet you at the appointed place this night.
Now most auspicious be thy stars and mine, let all good luck attend our great design.
And they exit. A forget-me draft. Forget your other love. Look at me. Look at me. It's what's really quite nice about this scene is it follows immediately on from the scene we did at the end of the last session, which is where the servant comes on and goes, "Oh, my mistress is absolutely just completely all about cosmetics and fashion. It's all just gone so strange." And then immediately you've got Eglantine coming on. I don't know what's wrong with my servant. She's not helping me at all. How's my hair? It's really quite playful and fun. And then we get down to plot, and it's very efficient actually. I'm really liking the this doesn't hang around. It does some fun things and then moves on. I mean, we may be able to. You could apply various lenses onto the way this is portraying the nature of cosmetics and fashion and things. But it is also still quite fun. Any thoughts on the room on that, or anything from that scene? Desna, then Eric.
I think so. My memory of when we did this last week is that Eglantine was so kind of downtrodden and sad and on the verge of attempting suicide. This is kind of like a transformation, and yeah, I kind of feel that she's in Clematis's attempts to apply makeup notwithstanding, sort of enjoying herself a bit more. If that makes sense. Yeah.
I feel that what this needs is Poneria coming on, an 80s makeover montage sequence. That's what I feel that really needs. I think that would improve it enormously. Eric?
Yes.
Well, isn't it basically like female empowerment, which is like this really powerful tool in the context of like this patriarchal thing, which is not what I was gonna say, but anyway. What was I going to say? I was just trying to remember why Poneria wants to ruin this match and everything. I because I don't remember her giving us a motivation for this. It's just like, I will be evil. I will do this. And then sort of, yeah.
I don't think there's a motivation. I think she just likes.
Yeah, I think
mischief.
she and Agnostus just came on in scene 1 and were like, yeah, we can mess this up.
Yeah. And we can mess this up with empowerment through beauty products, which it's I mean, in a sense it's weird because in a sense she has saved Eglantine's life. It's quite hard actually because she saved her from committing suicide. It's so in a sense this is all actually fine, and maybe they're better together than Iris, because Iris has made no impact in this play at all. So are we supposed to root for Eglantine here?
I mean, it does seem like they're having fun, and fun gets the audience on your side, like every time. I mean, in moralistic terms, the characters in this play mostly represent plants and flowers. I think Anthophotus is a bee, possibly. Anyway, Poneria means malice. Agnostus means ignorance. But so, like, from a moral perspective, cosmetics and fashion are supposed to be a corrupting influence on the pure, natural thing that, according to morality of the time, a girl should be. So, I mean, that's kind of a piece with the love potion. I'm not sure if it's a forgetting potion to forget Iris, or just an aphrodisiac to make him really fancy the person he's in the room with at the time. But similarly, it's a corrupting force on pure natural affection. Make of that what you will.
Well, let's gather some more data. But very briefly, Eric, and then we'll move on.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but then like it's not like he fancies Iris. He kind of just went, well, my dad or her dad said okay, so I'll do it kind of thing.
Yeah, there does seem to sort of sound quite artificial about what's going on with Iris. That said, I'm not sure that Rhodon's actually really expressed a particularly deep opinion on this matter. There was a scene earlier when he did something along those lines, but I'm not actually sure which side he came down on, which makes it quite difficult to know where we're supposed to root, because I'm not quite sure who's actually really cares about anyone apart from Eglantine. Eric again, and then we will move on.
Yeah, no, it was. I think it was like maybe the first or second scene after Poneria and Agnostus had said their whole plot. Acanthus and Rhodon were chatting, and basically Acanthus was like, "Get over yourself, okay? I know you're in love, but get over yourself." And Rhodon was like, "She's the most beautiful. Love is the best feeling in the world." And enter a musical. And then, yeah, of course, Acanthus said, "I'll never fall in love. I can never,
Yes,
I can't stand the idea."
But did he actually state who he was in love with?
I think not.
That's the thing, is he's talking, because the primary thing about the scene with Acanthus is for Acanthus to say he's not in love with anyone, and then immediately he'll fall in love. Whereas I'm not really sure what Rhodon's opinions anywhere are. Anyway, we might just miss something because we're reading it at pace. Let's move on. Act 3, Scene 3, I think. Yes. Enter Martagon and Cynosbatus.
But is the angry swain, sayest thou, so hot? Is Rhodon grown so zealous in his sister's cause?
If that his actions with his words agree, I must expect a sudden storm.
I am resolved to take part in thy fortunes, be they the worst that e'er to any fell.
Thanks, noble friend. Then let's join our hand in sign of most inseparable bands.
But there's Acanthus, a jolly swain. He frets, they say, like a furious myrmidon.
In braving language he exceeded so that Martagon ne'er saw so bold a foe. Surcharged with swelling passion, he did vow to take a full revenge on me and you.
And is the youth so filled with valorous heart? Who would have thought the frozen mountains could have bred so brave a hotspur?
These raging lines must, Cynosbatus, be undermined by some egregious slight. We must pitch some strong toil for these fierce beasts, where we may take them captive at our leisure, your pleasure. They rhyme. For if we should assail them openly, much peril then we might incur their cry.
What thy judgment shall conclude to do, I am resolved to condescend unto.
Then hear what I propound, Cynosbatus. Within a place nigh hand resides a beldam, much renowned for sacred skill in magic mysteries. She, with her awful charms, wants to call forth all sorts of noisome creatures that are bred in sandy Libya or cold Scythia, from whom she takes her choice of poison strong, the herbs which grow on precipitous eryx. She, with her bloody sickle crops, and whatsoever poisonous weed springs on the craggy top of snowy Caucasus, that's sprinkled with the blood of wise Prometheus, she carefully selects those venoms which the warlike Medians and nimble Parthians or Arabians rich used to anoint their deadly shafts withal. She doth by moonlight gather each herb that in this fertile vernal season puts forth its head from Ops's pregnant bosom. She searches for whether the same be bred in the cold forest of Hercynia, or in the deserts of parched Africa. Whatsoever flower weed doth in his seed or root strange causes of great mischief nourish, she never faileth to find out. Whether the same on banks of Tigris grows, or on the sunburned brink of warm Hydaspes, whose golden channels paved with precious stones, some of these herbs she doth by twilight gather, at midnight some and some at break of day. Nor is she ignorant how to apply the panting heart of the dull melancholy owl, or the breathing entrails cut from a living cat. The proud swain, sorry, I just happened to see Liza's expression. The proudest swain that lives in Thessaly is glad to be obsequious to her will, for in her power it is to cure or kill. Up unto this, reverend Sibyl, let us go. Her advice, request in this design, by her instructions, let us our actions regulate. Providing for our own security, she can divine of all events and tell whether things shall succeed or ill or well.
What thy sound judgment thinks fit to be done, I condescend to, noble Martagon.
And we will briefly pause there because, again, plot. I am wondering here whether the organisation here is right, because I have a thought about where the plot is probably going here. In which case, if there's someone commissioning Poneria to kill the leader of the army, your opposing army, with poison, and we've just had a scene where someone's going to hand a potion to that person. I'm wondering, are these scenes the right way around? I mean, I don't know if it necessarily matters, because maybe did he talk about it in the past tense that he's already commissioned it from her? Did I get the tense wrong? It sounded like he was sending him to get that done now, rather than I'm not sure on the tense there. But anyway, yeah, poison. There's an awful lot of the meter of the verse was doing some very strange things as well. There were some feet missing and some feet added. It's an awful lot of feet. So yeah. Any thoughts in the room before we go on? Just briefly on this one, Eric.
I feel like Martagon actually knows Agnostus. They seem to share this thing about like lists and like locations. You know, just he's all over the place, quite literally. The cold forest of Hercynea, parched Afric, banks of Tigris, warm Hydaspes, and all that stuff. I'm like, okay, this is geography.
Yeah. Lots of stuff going on. I just say I'm just sort of feeling this might be a act opener rather than an act mid pointer. I'm just thinking aloud on this. Okay, let's move on. However, we'll run a couple of short scenes into each other. Act 3, Scene 4. Enter Rhodon, Anthophotus, and Acanthus. Rhodon currently muted.
Since that the proud usurper Martagon will not restore what he hath ta'en away by force and injury from Violetta, we are resolved to put on lawful arms to swage the pride of that great termagant that of his proud prowess doth so vainly vaunt. Therefore, dear friends, address yourselves to show your true and faithful fortitudes, for know, an ignominious peace may not compare with any just and honourable war.
Out upon this Fabian valour, these tedious cunctations. I tell thee, Rhodon, I must needs chide thee for our loss of time. My troops are all in perfect readiness and long to meet their foes in open field. If we deliberate a day longer, the edge of their valour, I fear, will be quite taken off.
Now fie upon that valour which depends on circumstance of time or place. 'Tis relative virtue that like glass is brittle, whose force soon dies and perfects very little.
Now recollect thy spirits, Rhodon. Let Spartan resolution spread itself into each angle of thy noble heart. For now our hostile forces are assembled, covering the fields from Ossa to Olympus. Their painted banners with the winds are playing, their pampered coursers thunder on the plains. The splendour of their glistering arms repels the bashful sunbeams back into the clouds. Their bellowing up drums and trumpets shrill do many sad Corantos sound, which danger grim and sprawling death must dance. Now therefore, Rhodon, do reflect thy eye upon the glories of thy ancestors and strive by emulation to transcend those trophies which were yet ne'er paralleled.
Sir, cease this needless talk. Let us to action. The loss of time consisteth in protraction.
Your noble courages and dear-ed friends, a good event to our designs portends.
They exit. We'll go straight into Act 3, Scene 5. Re-enter Martagon and Cynosbatus.
Within the precincts of this grove, Poneria dwells. Here nightly she hath conventicles with her wise spirits. See how the trees are carved with magical, mysterious characters. See how the fiery fiends with their frequent resort have scorched the leaves and changed the merry livery of the spring into a mournful hue. Behold, the grass dried with the swarthy gore of some great sacrifice that late was offered up to the infernal powers.
The black aspect of this strange, uncouth place doth make my heart quake.
Within a vault hewn from the stony bowels of yon high precipitous rock she dwells. Cheer up, Cynosbatus, and come away. Let's to her cell, and I'll show thee the way.
And they exit. So again, we have this sort of journey to set up something that feels like has already been set up. But I was just checking to see if... also, just a very brief scene that they could have sort of tacked on to the end of the previous time they were on stage. I suppose it's to indicate time that they're moving towards the thing. And Rhodon got to do some martial stuff. And let's get on with war. Anthophotus, I continue to enjoy. Can we get on with it? Are we there yet? But
I think that's a beauty of this play, that you can't, like, if in a less good play he'd just make the martial speech and all his friends would be like, yes, let's go to war. But no, in this one he makes the martial speech and here's like Han Solo going, yeah, okay, but do you have to say it like that? It's just boring.
Yeah. But again, it's all very efficient. It's sort of doing these little things. I'm a little curious about some of the structure here, but it's all very tweakable. You can just move some stuff around. Eric,
I'm just wondering how they set this up. Like, is this actually on a stage? Is this on a cart or something? Because there's a part of me going, like, if you do this, it just seems very elaborate because you've got magical. The trees are carved with magical, mysterious characters, and just sort of the fiery fiends, have scorched the leaves and all that. I mean, obviously, maybe some of it is just description, but it feels like you could do so much with that, just having scenery designers and set designers having a lot of fun with that.
Yeah, I mean, it is quite frustrating because we don't really have any idea how it would have been. We don't really have any accounts of sometimes with this kind of sort of semi-civic event, you would actually get more detail of and they paid X for this and they paid Y for that. But I don't think there's any sort of secondary information about this beyond the play that we've got, which is quite frustrating. I have had a little rootle around, and sadly we don't know. So it's a really good question. There are a lot of short scenes. They're mostly not very large casts, so I'm wondering whether there is an element that the stage is relatively small, but occasionally I have quite a few people on stage. But I genuinely don't know how this is pulled together. Actually, it's a bit of.
Could it have been outside? Just because, I'm
assuming so. Yeah.
May.
Yeah.
Or beginning of May.
Surrounded by lots of flowers. That's
and a rock.
Yeah, it will look lovely. But no idea. Any other thoughts? Otherwise, we'll dive into Act 4. Let us dive away. I'm sure war will start soon. Act 4, Scene 1. Enter Iris, Panace, and Violetta.
Cursed was the wight that did in murder first, imbrue his guilty hands. Cursed was that hand which first was taught by damned hellish art to forge the killing blade in Vulcan's flames. What raging fury reigns in mortal breasts, that man should man pursue with deadly hate? Oh, what malignant power hath defaced that specious image of the gods above? Who hath inspired man with that bestial quality of murderous revenge? The Libyan lions seldom are at odds, the tigers of Hyrcania do agree. Man to man's become a very devil. That Thracian god which is delighted most with human sacrifices is now adored. Bloodthirsty Mars now bears the only sway, who direful devastations doth effect. Peace hath forsook the earth, and fell debate, shaking his battered arms now, stalketh everywhere. I hoped the nuptials sweet of late, but now I may have cause to fear a funeral. Hymen affrighted with the confused noise of brutish war is fled I know not whither. My dearest Rhodon must depart from me, and in the field engage his tender corpse to all extremities of death, of wounds, of danger, of sickness and unrest.
Strike not the air with this vain language, Iris. Wound not thy soul with these unseemly plaints, but be content to wait the will of Jove, who will crown our designs with blessed success. For in a cause that's honest, just, and right, the gods themselves will take up arms and fight.
Then, O ye powers that are the grand protectors of highless happiness and welfare, whether ye do delight in our flower-crowned mountains, our odorous vales, or in our crystal fountains, your gracious favour I implore, beseeching you to guard the person of my dearest Rhodon. Fond woman, how forgetful have I been? Here is a gem whose price doth far transcend all estimation. My faithful Panace, deliver it thou unto my gentle shepherd, and pray him wear it for my sake.
Madam, I will.
It from the bowels of a cock was ta'en, and whoso wears the same, as wise men say, shall ever be victorious in war.
Commend me to my brother, gentle nymph, and bear this token of my love to him. It is the precious herb called lettuce. Which whosoever wears shall never want sufficient sustenance, both for himself and his. Besides, it frustrates quite the devilish force of strongest poisons or enchantments.
Exit Panace.
Now, Iris, let us haste to Flora's fane. With our devotions, let's importune her, these horrid stirs and troublous broils to cease, that we again may live in happy peace.
Okay, some lovely details there. And yes, it was lettuce. It wasn't quite spelt lettuce, but it is lettuce. We're doing well for lettuce of late in some of these sessions.
Which whosoever wears, I love going into the field wearing lettuce and just like chewing on it when you need a snack.
Well, you know, it's presumably good against certain poisons. I don't know. Is lettuce good against poisons? I mean,
I've never tried to poison a salad eater, so I don't know.
No, I think the core of it is someone sort of put in the chat that you can use it as a sleeping draught. Whether it actually has a anti-poison effect is I don't know. Maybe someone out there in the comments will be able to put that their knowledge of lettuces. But also, of course, the very important gem from the bowels of a cock.
So shiny.
Yes. But anyway, we have magical charms. We have anti-poison things. I mean, it's lucky no one's trying to poison anyone. Can't possibly see where this is going. Any other thoughts? Otherwise, lots of short scenes, so we'll crack on. Act 4, Scene 2. Enter Martagon, Cynosbatus, and Poneria. There might be some others as well.
Divinest matron, God-inspired Sibyl, do this and be what thou canst desire.
Doubt not, great Martagon, but I will effect it.
Now, dear Cynosbatus, let us prepare to resist the impression of our foes, since that our powerful forces ready stand to be obedient to our command, great command.
With thee I am resolved to spend my breath, indifferent in the choice of life or death.
Exeunt Martagon and Cynosbatus. Sorry, I'm trying to put an S in that isn't in the script, and it's coming out in the wrong place.
But it has been
occasionally, but often it isn't. Yes, I apologise for that. There's an inconsistency. That's just a transmission error that nobody watching the video cares about. We will move on. Cynosbatus and Martagon exit.
Agnostus, come forth. Black cloud of ignorance, advance thy leaden pate, dull camel.
And Agnostus, as I've already been on, or steps forward here.
I cannot brook this thin and piercing air.
Thou son of sleep, hadst the lightsome day, clap on thy spectacles of judgment, and behold how I have played my part. Thou flowest with gall, Agnostus, I confess, but thou hast a brain intolerably dry, as empty of wit as the world is of conscience.
What hast plucked up by the What hast plucked up the flowers by the roots, or is all Thessaly in combustion?
Surcharged with deep despite and viperous hate, their forces they stand against each other bend.
Then I hope their painted pride shall quickly be abated.
But I have a plot, old Plummius dotard, to crop the proudest flower that grows in Hybla or Hymettus.
Poneria, I adore thy art and wisdom.
This glass contains a rare confection. 'Tis viper's blood mixed with the juice of aconite. This is the philter, the sweet love potion, which Eglantine, poor lovesick fool, must commend to the shepherd Rhodon, who this night, by my appointment, is to meet her in the myrtle grove under the name of Iris. Now I'll to Eglantine, and bless her longing ears with these glad tidings.
Oh, great, profound Poneria, never yet was any that could parallel thy wit.
And exit. So again, it feels like this bit should go before the other bit. I mean, did she give the file to her earlier, or did she just say she was going to give her a file earlier? It's Desna. Do you have opinions?
No, I don't think she actually gave her the file earlier. I think she was just explaining to her what she was going to do.
Ah, right.
So,
okay.
yes.
But how did she know she was going to need to know to do it? Because she hasn't been
Because she's a
commissioned to do
witch.
it yet.
I wonder if she was just making it up on the fly before.
Yeah. I feel that there's something in the construction here that is slightly off. I don't think it's a massive problem because it's we know what it's doing and what it's trying to do and it's fine, but it's just confused. Other thoughts? I say such short scenes. The commission has been made for the murder things and stuff, and Eric.
I'm just wondering about the function of Agnostus. Like in the first part that we did, it was kind of more obvious that he was kind of just the sidekick who is used as someone to repeat stuff or like to convince Eglantine or Eglantine, I don't know, to like not commit suicide and stick around and that he's this great wise person who is not wise, just sort of daft. But I don't really know what he's doing here aside from going, "Oh, you're amazing."
Yeah, he's clearly just Poneria's support animal. It's just there to bolster her self-esteem. I mean, that seems to be he's there to explain the plot to. So in that sense, yeah. I don't think he does anything particularly here. He's just there to just go, let me explain. Yeah, to explain the plot to. Which is fine. He does it in quite an entertaining way. I suspect that Poneria kicks him a lot, and he rather enjoys it. That's my impression. So I think that's the relationship they've got going on there. Act 4, Scene 3. He said, moving swiftly on. Enter Rhodon and Acanthus.
What hour of night is it, friend Acanthus?
The 11th at least, for see Orion hath advanced very high his starry locks in our horizon.
Methinks the stars look very ruddy, as if they did portend tempestuous weather.
They do but blush to see what crimes are acted by mortal under covert of the night.
Saw you yon star that northward fell?
I saw the blazing meteor stoop and bend his course toward the humble centre.
This seemed a glorious and resplendent star, yet was it but a gross, ill-tempered meteor. This meteor seemed as if it had been fixed in an orb for perpetuity, Yet in a moment is it fallen. Thou seest, and who regards this foolish and ignoble fire, or looks upon the place from whence it fell?
He that by honourable means is raised, and hath his seat established on the square of never sliding virtue, cannot fall.
But if young Phaeton shall undertake to guide the chariot of the great Apollo, and in that action shall miscarry, so that the whole universe shall be engaged to utter ruin and destruction, then ought great Jove to have a special care for to preserve and keep the common good. If he shall dismount the charioteer and with a deadly blow lay him along, the world then for his justice shall thank Jove, and Phaeton's foolhardiness reprove.
Who dares contest with Jove, or question what his sovereign highness shall do or determine?
Enter Eglantine and Poneria.
'Tis altogether wicked and unjust. Acanthus, retire, for now methinks I see a glimpse of Iris, who promised to meet me here this night.
Exit Acanthus.
Lo, how the luster of her beauty penetrates the envious clouds of these nocturnal shades.
Poneria?
Totally forgot that's me. Sorry. See yonder the beguiled lover walks in vain, expecting the coming of his dear Iris. Now, Eglantine, remember my instructions. Have a care that your tongue betray you not. Be not too talkative in any case. Forget not the posture I so oft told you of, under pretence that these cold nightly dews are offensive. You may knit your veil more close and conceal your feature.
Poneria, retire. I will address myself unto him.
But be sure you persuade him to take the potion before he sleeps. You'll remember those virtues which I told you it contains. Forget not to declare them amply.
Make no doubt on it, thou hast armed me for all assays.
Exit Poneria.
Thou brightest star that shinest this night, auspicious be thy influence to thy Rhodon. My dearest Iris, I am surcharged with joy to meet thee here.
Dear Rhodon, who, like the vernal sun, dost lend refreshing heats to my affections, take it not amiss that I have chose this hour and unfrequented place to enjoy thy company.
Sweet Iris, know that I esteem this hour of night, since I enjoy thy sweet society, above all the days that I e'er hitherto beheld.
But from a maiden's modesty, fair sir, it may seem much to derogate to be abroad so late at night.
Since no immodest act is here intended, the time cannot be prejudicial to thy unstained modesty.
Great pity 'tis indeed, sir, that true love should be disparaged, because 'tis so true.
I tell thee, I till now was never happy. All those delights which I e'er saw before were but mere transitory dreams, compared with that felicity which now I find.
The sudden news of this late-kindled war, wherein I hear, to my great grief, you are engaged, made me transgress the bounds of modesty so far that I desired once more to see your face ere your departure to the field of danger.
Since my good fortune and thy constant love have joyed me once again with thy sweet presence, I bless my lot, and to the field will hasten, as ready to outface danger, as scorn death. And if I there find fortunate success, of all my good I'll count thee patroness.
And here on you I do bestow this vial, which such a precious dosage doth contain, that it doth far exceed the height of value. It is a potion made by wondrous art. Nectar is no more comparable to it than Bonniclabar is to Husquebar, and Aurum potabile is as far short of it as Pormethoglin is of rich canary. Of all the confections, even from the lowest degree of sage ale to the height of aqua celestis, and no more like it than the beer of the Low Countries is to the high country wine. A dram of it taken before you go to bed cheers the heart, prevents the incubus and all frightful dreams, cheers the blood, comforts the stomach, dispels all colics, cures all aches, repairs the liver, helps the lungs, rectifies the brains, quencheth all the senses, strengthens the memory, refresheth the spirits. Taken fasting, it breaks the stone in bladder or kidneys, cures the gout, expels a quartane ague. Outwardly applied, it kills the gangrene and destroys the wolf, heals all sorts of wounds, bruises, boils, and sores. And not to use more multiplicity of words, I tell you, gentle Rhodon, you shall find it cures all griefs of body and of mind.
Fair one, verbal expression cannot show what I to thee for this great gift do owe. But till for all I full requital make, my constant love thou for a pledge shalt take.
But, gentle sir, although your constitution so well attempered seems that no disease can either hurt or overthrow your health, yet if my counsel might prevail with you, I should persuade you to make trial of this rare water this night before you sleep.
Since thou vouchsafest to be my kind physician, for this time I will act a patient's part, and ere that sleep shall with his leaden keys lock up the portals of my drowsy eyes, I'll taste of this most precious liquor. But lest the gelid moisture of the night should prejudice thy health, sweet Iris, let me conduct thee homeward.
Since these nocturnal distillations may be offensive to your health, sweet Rhodon, I will be well contented to be gone, though wondrous loth from you to part so soon.
But in my absence be assured of this, that Rhodon's heart in thy possession is.
And they exit. You know, there are some secrets that the modern CIA, FBI, MI5, etc., really should learn from the early modern period, which is that, presumably you just put a hat on, and people just can't recognize you at all. I mean, this is the great thing about early modern drama, is that
after dark, it's well known that all humans look exactly the same after dark.
I know it's the early modern period. It's just automatically you're in disguise and no one can recognize you. But I should point out, Poneria did explicitly say, "Have a care that your tongue betray you not." So don't be too talkative. And Eglantine completely ignores that and does a massive shopping channel selling spree for this potion here. I'm quite keen on the rectification of the brain. I don't know I'd like my brain rectified, please, if that could be arranged. That would be very helpful to me. I quite like these lists. I'm quite enjoying them. I mean, occasionally you feel that, it's talking specifically about certain herbs and things that are there as part of the nature of the festival. But sometimes it's just, let's just do another list. I like lists. And with that, the verse just goes all over the place again. It just seems to be when they start a list, it's just they give up. Any thoughts on that? That's it. I do love Rhodon's just going, look at the sky, it's all sad, it's not doing the oh look, Iris has come, oh, everything's clearing, isn't it lovely? And it's just, oh, I think he likes Iris. I think we now definitely can say quite clearly, we had that discussion earlier about, has he actually stated in a meaningful way that he likes Iris? Yeah, he likes Iris. It's fair enough. I think Eglantine was right to be a bit sad about his not liking her very much. Eric, were you waving?
I think at this point, because at the beginning he did kind of go, oh, she's the most beautiful person I've ever seen. And then as soon as Iris comes along, oh, she's the most beautiful person I've ever seen. I think he's in love with the idea of love.
Yeah,
like many early modern leads.
He is, he does seem to be doing that striking a pose, let me do some poetry kind of guy, isn't he? He's very much in love with that stuff. Okay, any more? Desna.
So I think there's a real tension in this scene between, the kind of whatever the genuineness of Rhodon's feelings, the sort of the flirtatiousness between him and Iris / Eglantine, but the fact that we all know that she's basically handing him poison. So it's kind of bittersweet, really.
Well, I mean, she thinks she's just delivering him a Mickey Finn.
Yes. Yeah.
She doesn't know it's poison.
Yeah.
So there's all sorts of things, because she's not exactly. This isn't great behaviour from Eglantine here. It's not good. It's not relationship advice.
No.
we would not recommend you do this. A, because love potions don't work, and B, because it's just wrong. Just wrong.
Don't try this at home, boys and girls.
So we'll run a couple of scenes into each other because the next one is basically a single speech. Act 4, Scene 4. Enter Panace Solar.
Oh, upon this shady bank with laurels crowned, the gentle shepherd Rhodon dwells. His cottage seated is upon a crystal river, the sweetest stream that e'er in valley crept. Oh, two precious presents I to him must bear, the one from his true love, the beauteous Iris, and that's of a gem of admirable virtue. The bounty of the eastern mines could ne'er bestow a jewel of such worth as this, which from the entrails of a cock was ripped. Ah, for whosoever shall possess the same shall be invincible in fight. But his dear sister, lovely Violetta, commends to him this admirable plant, the noblest herb that e'er in garden grew. For setting many precious properties aside, it is the best and strongest antidote that art or nature ever made. No deadly poison can withstand its power, but is expulsed by it with great facility. These noble gifts besteeming well both the receiver's and the giver's qualities, I will deliver to the honoured swain.
And exit. Act 4, Scene 5. Enter Martagon, Cynosbatus, and Poneria.
Sage dame, how fares thy grand design? Dost think thy plot will take?
Nay, if you doubt it, I wish it ne'er might take. Have I made hell a party in the action and laid such snares that more than human force cannot withstand my well-knit stratagem? Yet will you still torment me with these doubts?
Nay, gentle mother, be not so impatient.
You tempt my patience while you thus mistrust my skill and my ability.
We do adore thy matchless skill and wisdom, thou grace and wonder of thy sex.
Methinks I see the merry post at hand that brings us joyful news of Rhodon's death, and not behind him much, methinks I see another post who comes with better news that Rhodon's army is discouraged and discarded, yet quite disbanded and dispersed.
Oh, happy news, divine Poneria!
Yet ye account me a mere silly dame, yea, as silly as some simple simpering citizen that hath but manners enough to take the upper end of a table at a feast and to carve a capon's leg to a coxcomb.
The 10 sibyls were no more comparable to thee than an old gentlewoman to a young chambermaid. Sweet Poneria, I'm even in love with thee. Yea, I durst almost swear I should kiss thee if thou hadst but 3 rotten teeth in thy head.
Well, my masters, I hope you'll thank me when you hear that I have made proud Rhodon a legier, I don't know that word, ambassador in Don Pluto's court.
Thy thanks, Poneria, shall be duly paid in high bewitching towns. We'll rip the matrix of our grand dam earth to see the place where riches are conceived, and from her pregnant womb we'll draw a golden age for thee to live in, dear Poneria.
Who would leave any villainy undone to be thy slave, most noble Martagon?
Exit Poneria.
Now, Martagon, let us go put on arms, and towards Hybla march in strong array. Let us deface the glory of their flowers. If Rhodon be but dead, the day is ours.
And they exit to tear up the flowers. Oh, you can hear the floral festival going, boo! Yes, we're here for the flowers. Don't harm the flowers. Leave the poor flowers alone. So this is, this is what happens when you've outsourced your murders. You're constantly phoning up the company saying, is it done? Is it, is it going to be delivered on time? Reassuring the customer there that it's going to work. It's a good plan. It's a good plan. And I do like Panace's sort of little coming on there. It feels very much like the postal courier in this particular, but just very invested in his work, to make sure that it gets there in time. Will the restorative lettuce save the day?
Or the jewel is taken from the bowels of a cock.
Yes, well, but the jewel is for surviving battle.
Well, doesn't the jewel expel poisons as well? Or
I thought that was more against fightiness. That's what I read, or I saw.
Yes.
I thought it was more.
You're right. The jewel is for now that I scroll back up, the jewel is for invincibility, and the admirable plant lettuce is an antidote to poison, apparently.
This is starting to feel like one of those computer games where you've got to remember to have picked up the lettuce and the jewel before you go into the fight, the boss level. And if you have to go all the way back to go and get it, otherwise and it just takes about half an hour, and you're not really invested in it anymore because you've done all the other boring stuff, and it's just going down endless corridors looking for where the lettuce is supposed to be, and it's just you just go, game, just send me to the end bit, I'm done.
And you're probably going to cross the river in a particular way, there's
and it's always that annoying one where you can't quite hit the buttons in the right order. Yeah. I may not be applying the correct lens for this text. I could be wrong. Any other thoughts? Otherwise, we'll dive into Act 5. I'll probably run a few more scenes into each other because there's quite a lot of scenes flying at us now. So, Act 5, Scene 1, enter Acanthus and Anthophotus.
Thou speaks of things beyond belief, Acanthus.
Too true it is, I shrewdly fear, that every circumstance makes it appear that Rhodon, in the myrtle grove last night, had private conference with Iris, from whom, it seems, he took the venomed potion. For now he doth, in his extremest fits, exclaim on the untruth of womankind, bewailing the unlucky hour that did present your sister Iris to his sight.
Enter Panace.
God, I can't even pronounce them. Anthophotus and Acanthus, you are well met.
Nay, never worse, thou wouldst say, gentle Panace, if thou knewst all.
What dire disaster have befallen your honoured friends? How fares the noble shepherd Rhodon?
Rhodon's mishap's the cause of all our sorrow. Rhodon's betrayed, poisoned, and lies at point of death.
Cursed be the hand that did attempt a villainy so impious and foul. But if you love yourselves of Rhodon's health, conduct me to him immediately. I have an antidote that shall cure him if any breath be left within his bulk.
Oh, happy comfort. Come, sweet Panace, to our sick friend will thy conductors be.
And exit with lettuce. Act 5, Scene 2, enter Martagon and Cynosbatus.
A happy morn be this to thee, friend Martagon.
Nay, 'tis the happiest morn that e'er we two beheld. Rhodon is dead, and is by this time served up in a wooden dish to feast the worms upon an earthen table. The purple-bosomed rose, whose glorious pride disdained the beauties of all other flowers, is cropped. Yea, the ambitious bramble is quite withered, and now is laid in the contemned dust. Poneria's wit hath done this noble act.
This is good news, I must confess. Yet could I wish that noble Rhodon had not so ignobly died.
Thou art too ceremonious for a politician, and too superstitious. Our duty is to judge of the effect as it concerns the state of our affairs, and not to look back on the means by which 'twas wrought. He is unfit to rule in a civil state that knows not how in some respects to favor murder or treason or any other sin, which that subtle animal called man doth openly protest against, for this end, that he may more freely act it in private, as his occasions shall invite him to it. But 'tis no disputing now, the deed is done, we are in a fair way to victory, conquest, triumph, and renown. We have a fair beginning, and what's well begun, if that the proverb speaks truth, is half done.
And they exit Act 5, Scene 3, enter Poneria and Agnostus.
Now, Agnostus, since by the death of Rhodon we have endeared ourselves to Martagon, 'tis meet we provide for a back winter, that we purchase some eminence of place, to make us glorious in the world's ill-sighted eye, that being great, we may the greater mischief do. And since a war is newly set abroach, I will assue to be to General Martagon to place thee in some military office of high regard and special consequence, whereby thy ignorant conduct and base carriage thou mayst 1,000 heroic souls send packing unto the Stygian stall.
Nay, good
Oh.
Poneria, I find myself unfitting for the wars.
What, neither heart nor brains? Out, inglorious Lozel, thou most unwieldy burthen of the earth! I could find in my heart to kick thy soul out of thy carcass. Art all composed of earth and water, hast not a spark of air or fire in that bulk.
Nay, sweet Poneria, I am thy slave.
I tell thee, I will procure thee a captain's place.
But I am altogether ignorant in the words of command, and I know not one posture, neither of musket or of pike.
Hast wit enough to swallow the dead pays, and to patch up thy company in a mustering day? Hast valour enough to wear a birth jerkin with 3 gold laces? Hast strength enough to support a Dutch felt with a flaunting feather? Can thy side endure to be wedded to a rapier hatched with gold, with hilt and hangers of the new fashion? Canst drink, drab, and dice? Canst damn thyself into debt among believing tradesmen? Hast manners enough to leave thy lieutenant, ancient or sergeant, leave to go before thee upon any place of danger? Hast wit enough in thy anger not to draw a sword? These are the chief properties that pertain to our modern captains. And if thou couldst but be taught these military rudiments, I doubt not but thou mightst prove a very excellent new soldier.
If this be all, in time I hope to be as famous as there was Caesar or great Pompey.
Agnostus, come along. Prepare thyself to be a servant to the god of war.
And exuent Poneria, and a very model of a modern major Agnostus. Act 5, Scene 4. Enter Rhodon, Acanthus, Anthophotus, and Panace.
This strange imposture hath amazed me so that I am almost to a statue struck, not knowing what to speak or what to think.
Assure yourself it was a strange collusion, for this on my fidelity believed that 'twas not Iris whom you met last night.
Then 'twas some hellish hag that, in her shape, gave me the venomous confection which had undone me quite if thou in time hadst not applied thy precious anecdote. But yet, methinks that heaven should not permit the subtlest hellish power to counterfeit the feature of so beautiful an angel.
Doubtless it was the false Poneria's plot, whom Martagon hath lately entertained with her companion, old Agnostus. For know the malice of your foes is such that if by open force they can't destroy you, by hidden plots they'll seek your overthrow.
Then must I pardon crave of gentle Iris, to whom I did ascribe this treacherous fact.
If she were guilty of so black a deed, these hands should chain her to a fatal stake and sacrifice her corpse in hideous flames under the awful goddess of revenge, which done, I'd throw her hateful ashes up against the furious gusts of boisterous winds that being so dispersed, there might remain not the least relic of so vile a wretch.
My Iris is as clear as innocency itself, and since my treacherous foes have gone about by wicked sleights to wrong so sweet a saint, and bring me also to a shameful end, I here enjoin ye honourable friends upon my sword to take a solemn oath.
He draws his sword, they lay their hands upon it and kiss it.
Ne'er to lay down your just and lawful arms until we be avenged to the full for such unkindly and disloyal wrongs. True honour, when with dearest blood is sought, is like a precious gem that's cheaply bought.
Ill is a life bestowed upon that wight that dares not loose it to maintain the right. Him I account a base inglorious sot that dares not honour pull from danger's throat.
And they exit. There's a lot going on here. I like the flow of this, you know. Oh dear, Rhodon's not very well. So Martagon, Rhodon's dead. Poneria, Rhodon's dead. Rhodon comes on, and you know, and we with Liza's suggestion in the chat, we went from my rather flat Panace to Panace, as in panacea. He arrives. Here's the panacea that cures all, and Rhodon is cured. There's some really interesting stuff going in. I really love the scene with Poneria and Agnostus doing the really cynical, Agnostus going, I don't want to go to war, I'll die. No, you don't understand. We're not sending you in to actually fight. We're going to do what proper people in the army do, which is just be corrupt and take all the money. And that's how the modern Russian army works. So that's sort of the way that the function of it all goes. So and then also just weird things as well, like Rhodon going, oh no, Iris, I hope it wasn't her who betrayed me, and Anthophotus just going, burn her, in quite an extra kind of way. He's just going, no, it wasn't her. So yeah, there's lots of really, again, it's still really bouncing along, even though it's all about war and poisoning and things, but it's really quite entertaining and it's doing interesting stuff. Thoughts? I went on for a while there. Liza?
Well, I think the forget me potion or the love potion or whatever it was that Poneria gave to Eglantine is sort of an unexploded plot bomb, because when you have something like that, I mean, I don't know what happens in the rest of this play, but I assume he already drank it. And anyway, so Rhodon, usually when you have a potion like that, dramatically its function is to make a character act unlike themselves.
Yes, but because it was a lie, because it was the poison.
So it wasn't, but still, we never saw him under its influence.
Yeah, well, he was sick. That's all he was. There was no love potion. It was a lie. It never happened.
Yes, but even if someone drinks poison on stage, you want them to stagger around and go, I am poisoned.
Well, they just did it sort of off stage. It happened between Act 4 and Act 5, which is suggesting to me that there is an act break.
Okay, we're gonna put it in like a dance scene. Okay, we're gonna put it.
Okay, we can put it in. He can drink the poison and go and then come on feeling a bit sick. And I mean, I'd like to see him eating the lettuce. Frankly, I mean,
we were all cheated of a lettuce eating scene.
Is the lettuce supposed to absorb the poison? Is that how it's supposed to work? I mean,
don't question it. Just eat lettuce.
I mean, what I love about the lettuce, and I'm sure it functioned that way originally, is it's just so stupid. It's just, here, I am coming with the lettuce, and it's just like, I want him to just have a massive, it's not that he's cut down and turned into some sort of unguent. No, he's just walking on with a lettuce every time, and that's what I want to see, because I think it's delightfully silly. Yeah, well, we've only got two scenes left, so it'll be interesting to see where this goes. Tom?
It all depends on the availability and the status of lettuce. I mean, I know the Chinese were going to stop the export of rhubarb, and so everybody in England would die of constipation. And they really, so rhubarb was like almost a lethal weapon. And I'm liking the lettuce.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for all we know, it's one of those superfoods that will be very fashionable. That apparently it does more than I thought it did. Well, let's find out. Act 5, Scene 5. Enter Martagon, Cynosbatus, Agnostus, and Poneria.
Lady Poneria, upon your commendation, we bestow a regiment upon this gentleman.
Thanks, worthy Martagon. Believe it, sir, those good respects which I to your affairs owe, urge me to importune you for his employment, because I know him to be a tried soldier of great experience, worth, and merit. How say you, Colonel Agnostus? I hope your action shall make good my words hereafter.
I am at your service, Madam Poneria. I am a man of action, I confess.
Trust me, sir, although he wants verbal expression, he is a gentleman of singular abilities.
And I think no less, for there are not good words that makes deserving soldiers, but good swords.
He looks as if he had been born and brought up in the Liga all his lifetime.
Enter Gladiolus.
Noble General, the beauteous Eglantine wisheth all happiness to your designs, desiring that this paper may kiss your hands for her.
He opens the letter.
'Tis about a place. I'll put my life on it. Hear me, monsieur. I understand the business. Her request is granted. She, when she pleases, may at my hands command a greater courtesy than this.
Thanks, honored sirs.
On you, I bestow a captain's place.
Now I perceive that the readiest way to attain preferment in the court of Mars is to creep into the favor of Venus.
I understand you're a man of real worth and very sufficient for such an office.
Enter Acanthus.
Imperious Martagon, that art no less known for thy power than thy wickedness. In Rhodon's name, I do defy thee here, who challengeth the combat at thy hands, to be avenged on thee for thy foul wrongs. But if thou darest not in a single fight give satisfaction to the noble shepherd, then thee and all thy troops he doth invite to a bloody breakfast tomorrow morn. Attended by a vigorous army, he stands in the confines of his own dominions, swearing that he will prove it in the field, that thou art a tyrant and a traitor art.
Bold friend, I prithee speak ingeniously. Doth this defiance come from Rhodon's mouth?
Upon my life, and by the honour of a soldier it doth.
Then tell him I'm resolved to be a guest, more bold than welcome at his bloody feast.
I will, great Martagon, and misdoubt not, but that your cheer shall be exceeding hot.
Exit Acanthus.
Dissembling witch, how hast thou beguiled us?
What adverse power hath crossed our plot?
Didst not thou, with thy deep protestations, force us to give credence to thy false relations when thou affirmest that thou hast poisoned Rhodon?
The opposition of the cursed fates hath brought us to deserved confusion.
Want, you hag, abominable sorceress, here I do thee on pain of death enjoin with that impostor thy companion, immediately to depart out of my dominions.
Now I, accursed wretch, have seen too well that heaven will not be overruled by hell.
How suddenly by one contrarious gust is all our honour tumbled into dust? Since that our braving foe is now at hand, Cynosbatus, we must not think of a retreat.
What your discretion holds fit to be done, I condescend to noble Martagon.
Then let us meet our proud foe face to face, and with our swords and spears that right maintain, which lately we by sword and spear did gain.
And exeunt to fight. Okay, so they found out the bad news. Martagon's immediately gone, get out, to them. And to be fair, you know, I don't think you should renew the contract with someone who's clearly failed to deliver the services as promised. I'm a bit confused about the letter delivered by Gladiolus. What is it that Eglantine is actually requesting from them? Because Eglantine doesn't know that he would owe her anything, because she doesn't know that she's poisoned. I don't know what that is. I don't know what's going on there, because he doesn't read it out. He just sort of says some stuff, and it's all very confused. I don't understand.
Yeah, it is confusing. Martagon thinks she's going to ask him for a job for someone or a place at court, either for herself or someone else. But then
why does she write to him? She doesn't know it. She's got no connection with him at all, because she doesn't know he commissioned the poison that was commissioned before he commissioned it.
I have no. I get the feeling that, I don't know, maybe it's still to come, but there's some big reveal scene where it's revealed that she poisoned Rhodon, and Rhodon is like, "Avaunt," and she's like, "Oh no!" And you know, where basically Rhodon learns everything that's happened to him, and he and Iris are like, "I love you." And anyway, that scene has happened off stage for some reason.
Yeah, I'd say I don't know what's going on with Eglantine. I feel like Eglantine's been dropped from poisoning onwards. I feel
she may be doubling someone else, of course, but
that's true. Hadn't considered doubling. I'd assumed that this was the kind of sort of big event where you get everybody and their aunt and uncle to be in it, and and that you get really small parts for those who aren't really that up to doing anything, and then you just get random flowers for even those you don't even trust dialogue to, and up to people who get big speeches. Don't know. Right, let us go into the final scene where I'm sure all the plot threads will be tied neatly together. Act 5, Scene 6. Enter Rhodon, Anthophotus, and Acanthus.
Deserving friends and fellow soldiers, now arm yourselves with Roman fortitude. First call to mind the justice of our cause, and then let each remember that true honor which must be valued above health and life. Consider also that we must contend against a tyrant and a mere usurper, a person guilty of no mean offences, which must be justly punished by our swords.
Enter Poneria and Agnostus.
Thrice noble Rhodon, in whose noble breast true pity dwells, vouchsafe a pardon to us distressed caitiffs.
I neither know what your offences are, nor yet yourselves.
I am the unfortunate Poneria, that was suborned by unjust Martagon to work thy utter ruin. I did conduct the lovesick Eglantine unto thy presence instead of Iris. I caused her to give thee a poisonous drink under the pretence that it was a love potion. I have deserved to die and crave life at your hands.
And are you the grand incendiary that have so many mischiefs wrought in Thessaly? How I remember I have seen your elvish countenance, nor have I altogether forgot your reverent mate, who with his personated gravity deludes the world, being accounted a man of profound art. Acanthus, see them committed to safe custody. See you make them sure for starting.
Nay, worthy sir.
Exeunt Poneria, Agnostus, and Acanthus, who presumably says this line as he's taking them out.
You must away, for no entreaties can prevail.
The apprehension of these wretches doth presage auspicious fortunes to our actions.
Drum beats a march within.
List, Anthophotus, our enemies are at hand. Their thundering drums warn us of their approach. We'll bid them nobly welcome then. This day will I victorious be, I vow, or bravely die.
Thy honoured resolution I commend, and take it for a sign of good success.
Enter Acanthus.
Arm, the hostile forces are in sight, and come marching on in proud array. The battle's led by Martagon himself, wherein are marshalled near 5,000 bill men, all clad in coats of red. A furious Amazon called Tulipa brings on 3,000 burly Swisses arrayed in gorgeous coats of red and yellow, and these make up the van, to which are added, for forlorn hope, 200 melancholy gentlemen. The fierce Cynosbatus brings up the rear, wherein about 2,000 soldiers be, clad all in green and armed with pikes of steel. Narcissus, with 1,000 daffodils, clad in deep yellow coats, doth flank the right side of the battle. The left wing is by Hyacinthus led, wherein 1,000 soldiers march arrayed in purple coats.
I'm going to pause there because I think that basically everybody exited before Acanthus does this speech, because this is basically the running commentary of the battle going on, or at least the people being arranged. It's this section of the text is a little unclear as to precisely what's going on. There are some questions of stage directions as to absences or not. But let's also just say that the Narcissus with 1,000 daffodils clad in deep yellow coats to flank the right side of the battle. I mean, it's painting wonderful pictures that I adore. I just love that bit. This is the kind of stuff I was really hoping more of in this text, actually. I really want all this flower abstraction stuff going on, going to war. I wanted more of that. And now also I want to see lots of children dressed as daffodils coming on with ready to do the fight in a sort of forced perspective thing. That's how I want that to happen. That's that.
I was just saying in the chat, it reminds me of Christmas Mess that we did with that sort of the King Brawn and so on. It's just got that wonderful sort of sense of giving giving things a personality that you don't expect. So the Christmas dinner in this and this time the flowers.
Yeah.
It's just glorious. It's the visions of daffodils going to war. It's just wonderful. First they can blow their own trumpets.
Yeah, Eric.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that I like how Acanthus is like so passionate about describing it that he just kind of goes that in their gorgeous coats of red and yellow. I don't know if gorgeous meant the same thing as today, but I just like this idea that he's going, well, have you seen what they're wearing?
Oh yeah, no, it pretty much means the same thing. Yes. Yes, Liza.
So this is such fun. This is, it's in jokes that the audience of florists would love. A Martagon is a lily with sword-like petals. It's sort of dark pinkish. And so he's got his 5,000 billmen whose bills are pointy like the petals, and they're clad in red. There's a furious Amazon called Tulipa. And her followers are in red and yellow. For some reason, they're Swiss, not Dutch. But anyway, maybe
Close enough.
And then I love, to which are added for a forlorn hope, because a forlorn hope was like your last force that once all your other guys had failed, you would fling them into action. So they were really going to be your most badass people, but no, they're 2,000 melancholy gentlemen. So they're the forlorn hope. They're just sort of walking by with their shirts open and their eyes all dark circled and going, oh, we're so sad. There's a bunch of passages in this play. Several times in this play I've thought, a person or persons are going to demonstrate this while the speech is going on. And I'm sure this must be where like all the people you recruited from the village, all the sort of local kids or whatever, go marching by.
Yeah. So let's conclude the action. We're going to continue. Acanthus has done this massive speech. I was just wondering about this. I thought the Forlorn Hope was basically the Suicide Squad you sent in first, rather than the last one, into really horrible sort of death traps to be taken out. Anyway, it's not good to be in the Forlorn Hope. You really don't want to be in the Forlorn Hope. Or similarly in the these make up the vanguard going in. They're the ones. Anyway, I could be wrong on all that. Eric.
I just like that line about the van also kind of works nowadays, where you can just imagine them coming out of the van. Because they're flowers, they're florists. That's how you would carry the flower. I don't know. Yeah, sorry.
Okay, so this is again a slightly confused moment because it says enter Martagon and Rhodon. We didn't actually have an exit line for Rhodon, so it's a question of whether actually everybody exits. We have this battle scene or setup being described, and then the two generals come on, or whether that's just a bit confused. But anyway, we have Martagon and Rhodon, and we have probably lots of other people as well. But come and have a go if you think you're hard enough.
What fury tempted the unhappy Rhodon in hostile manner thus to invade my confines?
For Violetta's sake I took up arms, whom thou unjustly hast oppressed.
What I have done, my sword shall justify.
Music sound.
Whence comes this most harmonious melody?
Enter Flora, who we have not met before, as well as Iris, Eglantine, and Panace.
Put up those merging blades on pain of my displeasure. Confine them to perpetual prison in the scabbard, that they may ne'er come forth to manage civil broils.
We must obey.
We must obey and will. Awful goddess.
While in my flowery bowers I took repose, I heard the noise of these tumultuous broils, which struck me with a wonderful amazement. Then hastily I left my banks of pleasure, and hither came to end these mortal jars. Therefore I charge you both, on that allegiance and respect which you do owe to me, quite to dismiss your armed bands. And you, Martagon, who have fair Violetta wronged, to her shall make an ample restitution of what you've taken from her, and entertain a friendly league with Rhodon, which you, Cynosbatus, must also condescend to. But as for you, fond Madam Eglantine, since you have broke the sacred laws of love, and by unlawful means sought to accomplish your designs and make the shepherd Rhodon enamoured on you, you to a vestal temple shall be confined, where with 10 years' penance you shall expiate your folly. But where be those two intruders, Poneria and Agnostus? These that have crept in among us, and with full sleight sought to overthrow our state.
The Poneria and Agnostus are brought.
We banish them quite out of Thessaly forever. What I have decreed you must assent unto.
We do, because we must.
Rhodon, I here bestow on thee this noble shepherdess.
Thanks for your precious gift, renowned queen.
And now, since all things are reduced to joyful peace, let us betake ourselves to sweet delights and solemnize your mirth. With mirth, your nuptial rites.
And there is now an epilogue.
Since ignorance and envy now are banished, since discord from among the flowers is vanished, since Rhodon is espoused to Iris bright, since war hath happy Thessaly left quite, let everyone that loves his country's peace, his height of gladness with his hands express.
And yes, and that might have been said by Flora, who's sort of in position to do it. We have various punishments and stuff sorted out there. There's so Eglantine ends up as a Vestal in a Vestal temple. I feel sorry. I mean, I know she did a bad thing, but I kind of feel sorry for Eglantine. I don't. That's not the ending I wanted. I'm not sure. I do think Martagon sums it up. We do because we must. So Deus ex Floria. No, it'd be more Floria ex Machinus. There we are. That's the one. It's all sort of some tidied up. Banishment, temple. Martagon just has to do restitution. Ample restitution. That's all he has to do. He commissioned a murder and destroyed all the flower. Ample restitution. What's that? That's a bit vague. That you know. Is it going to be a sort of floral version of Versailles where they all sit around and figure out what the reparations are going to be, and it all kicks off again in 15 years after that? I don't know. There are some loose. It sort of solves most of the loose ends. Now, question for those who were here last time, because we brought it up in passing, that Acanthus, it was Acanthus, wasn't it, who said, I'm not going to fall in love, I'm not going to fall in love, and then immediately fell in love. Did anything come of that? I mean, did that get rounded up last session and I just missed it? I just like that went nowhere. That went nowhere at all.
Did he ask her out and she said yes and that was that or something?
I think that might have happened. I think I certainly went, oh, I like you. But I don't know. Was that it? I mean, did he even say it to her? So, because I just sort of forgotten all about it because and now it's just like, oh, hang on, do we miss something? God, it's going to be the random blue alien who falls out of nowhere. Oh no, it isn't. That's a very deep cut reference that no one is going to get. I apologise. I'm not even going to explain it. I'm just going to move on. So. Yeah, it's really weird. I mean, it sort of wraps everything up, and everything is, you know, that sort of neat bow to a degree. If Acanthus was for Panace was, they did have a little chat here. So They had a chat when they were delivering the antidote, so maybe they have a snog.
And the lettuce.
Yeah. I don't know. I just don't know. I'm very, very confused. Oh well. Anyway, that was a loose end. I feel that the play is quite light and therefore not very detailed sometimes, but I really enjoyed it. I have to say, it's a very silly thing. And for something that's designed to be outdoors, probably, I mean, designed as some sort of celebration of flowers and for this thing, I think it sort of does what it's trying to do. And I've had a lot of fun. I've enjoyed it. Other thoughts about this closing? I mean, do we feel that it's quite enough? It was quite brief. Just sort of happened. Felt like they ran out of time. Rachel, then Tom, then Liza. Did you wave, Rachel? No, your hand is just there. I'll go Tom, Liza.
I think, well, I know the room enjoyed it, and that's always a good sign. It's always a good start. It's always a good basis. I mean, if the room enjoyed it, you can build on that, and you know. So it does, as you say, goes along at a happy pace and is an amusement.
It's part of me is sort of thinking that this is a really good starting point for an ongoing series, rather than a play I want to do, because I feel that there's more that could be mined out of this sort of. You could turn it into a really interesting sort of ongoing soap opera. And especially as it's all flowers, you could animate it and it'd be really fun. Every week, Poneria turns up and is all so Liza.
Well, I was going to say that I mean, your to your question, is this ending satisfactory? It seems to me that we have more plots than we have room to resolve. We have the war story, which is the one that does get resolved. We have the rom-com, which is Rhodon loves Iris, but Eglantine loves Rhodon, and Poneria is. The only thing connecting those two things is the poison, which is only plot relevant for about 2 seconds and gives us the sort of false despair of the death of Rhodon. But in general, I think the war story is prioritized over the love story. I mean, towards the end, anyway.
I think the problem is
in terms of build-up, maybe the love story gets more.
Well, yes and no, because Iris gets so little stage time. I mean,
Iris and Rhodon, do they even have a scene together?
They do. There's a sort of engagement party thing, but they don't talk to each other. There's more engagement between Eglantine and Rhodon, which is why I sort of feel like she gets a really bad deal. But yeah, Desna.
Yeah, do you think some of it's been cut already? Do you think that's why we're missing these bits? Because the letter from Eglantine to Martagon that he received quite close to the end, I mean, it's kind of a pointless device if there's no other narrative around it.
I don't believe so. I mean, everything seems to be consistent with. There doesn't appear to be. It seems to be what it is. I suspect it's less that there's something missing, more that it's a bit haphazard, and that's just how it sort of came to be. I think it feels of itself because it has a certain. There's sort of untidy random scenes with Martagon wandering on and then wandering off again. There's a lot of those, and you would tighten that up with maybe a second draft or maybe someone who's slightly more or your professional stage setup than this, which is probably more on the amateur spectrum. Eric, you're waving.
Yeah, I just like to think that Martagon's like line about "we do because we must" is basically sort of Flora has gone, say sorry, say you're sorry, and then like kids, Martagon's like, I don't know, sorry, okay, I don't care, just sorry. Sort
Yes,
of that
he
kind
clearly isn't sorry at all, is he?
Yeah, yeah. But it's pretty much that in my head. Yeah.
Okay, let's go around for final thoughts. Desna, any final thoughts for this fun time crazy palace thing?
I really enjoyed it. I would like to see it staged with full floral tributes.
Excellent. Bring on the flowers. Liza, any final thoughts?
I agree. I think we should write to the Norwich Florist Society immediately and offer to do the best production of this that they have ever seen. I'm already making costumes in my head. We're going to do this.
Okay. Tom, any final thoughts?
Yeah, as I say, the room enjoyed it, and I think it's so, not poorly written, but it's so loose that you could really edit it nicely.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's definitely some dramaturgical work that could go into tidying up some of the ordering of some of those middle scenes, and maybe a little even expansion. That's what I was sort of talking about. I see this as the beginning of a series because I feel like I want to expand on bits of this and turn them into something else. But I think there's enough here, just with a bit of dramaturgical tidy up to really bounce along. Yeah. Eric, any final thoughts?
It was fun. I kind of wish there was more Poneria Agnostus stuff in this part, because the relationship there is hilarious. Just like, you idiot, go do that thing. It's basically that. Yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed it. Aside from like Eglantine getting the weird punishment, because clearly that's the type of plant that you would have in. I'm guessing that's the type of plant you would have in a Vestal temple, which is why she gets delegated to that.
Yes, that is an element that we really need to research all of these plants and do all the things to understand what the logic of the plants is, because it does seem that there is some logic has been applied, maybe not entirely, but as far as you can, because you can only apply it so far with characterization. Rachel, any final thoughts?
No, it's utterly ridiculous. I did enjoy it too. Yeah, no thoughts.
Excellent. Right. Well, order your bouquet of Rhodon and Iris from for your next evening out. All that remains, thank all the wonderful readers for all their wonderful reading. Thank you very much, everyone, and goodbye. Clap on thy spectacles of judgment.